Hey everybody, Ben Finkley here, CEO of Volacci. This is the Volacci 3D channel. We are doing our 5th live stream today. We're going to be doing our final pre-flight check on our new Prusa i3. It's the Prusa. I never can remember the name of this silly thing. It is the i3 MK3S Plus. It's a live stream. I can't do it over. In any case, we're going to be doing our pre-flight check, and then we're going to be doing our little bit of testing and setup for the printer so that we can make our first print. Thank you for being here, and with that, we're going to dive right in. So here's Belle. She's keeping us company today, and she is my partner in crime here in my 3D printing. So we're going to jump in, and I want to, let's see, close that out, and there we go. So we're in the Prusa i3 MK3S Plus kit pre-flight check. So what we're going to do here is we're going to actually, most of the pre-flight is simply getting your Pinda, which is the bed leveling tool here, getting it to calibrate properly. So we're going to go through that part at this point, and it's pretty straightforward, as most of Prusa's instructions are. All right, so ensure the printer is turned off and not plugged in. I have not plugged in this printer yet, so hopefully you'll get to experience that with me here in a few minutes, the very first time we turn it on. And it says move your x-axis slowly whenever you're moving stuff on your printer, because it actually acts as a generator and it can feed electricity into the sensitive electronic parts of the printer. So that's one thing about these stepper motors, is that they convert electricity into motion, but then also they will convert motion back into electricity. So you have to be careful when you're moving your parts around on your printer. All right, so we're going to move the extruder manually all the way to the left. I'm almost there already, so we're just going to do that pretty slow. All right, all the way to the left. And then by rotating both threaded rods at the same time, which is this guy. Okay, yeah. On the Z-axis, move the nozzle until you reach the bed. All right, so let me scooch this just a hair so you can see both rods. So here's the first rod, and then over here is the second rod, and we're just gonna start turning those at the same time, and you can see the whole gantry and the hot end are moving down. Let's get that all the way down to the bottom. I need to get a level over here and just make sure this thing is square, but we'll do that in a minute. There you go. You can see we are just about all the way down to the bottom. A little bit further. And we're there. Okay. So we want to get it so it's just touching. It's just slightly above touching. Let's see. Slightly touching. Don't bend the heat bed. Okay. All right. Slightly touching. Let's get down there, and we're going to just make one final little. Okay, there we go. Barely touching. We got it. All right, what's next? The adjustment part. Okay. Hold on. Move the extruder carefully all the way to the right. Make sure that the nozzle is not scratching the surface during the movement. Just raise the right side of the x-axis by rotating the right Z motor. Threaded rod slightly clockwise. All right, so basically what we're doing here is, I suggested a minute ago a level. This is actually what we're going to be doing. So we're going to be sliding this across nice and slow. as I did that, it is moving further away. So we're going to make a little adjustment just on the right side so that as I move it across, it stays the same distance away. There we go. I'm having to adjust that quite a lot, actually. Just bring that back just a hair. Okay, so that looks right. Barely touching. And that says it wants to move the printer back to the center. All right. All right, back to the center. Take a zip tie from the package, place it under the super pinda sensor using the middle part of the zip tie, not the tip. Release the screw holding the pinda and gently press it against the zip tie. Tighten the screw on the super pinda holder again. So we're going to loosen the screw, place the zip tie underneath, make sure that it is the pinda is pressing against the zip tie, and then we're going to tighten it back up. So let's jump into that. Just adjust this around here. Can you still see that? Well, as best you can anyway. So my pinda is actually already too low, so let's, sounds like a medical problem, but actually it's a 3D printer thing. You've got very low pinda, Mr. Finkley. Okay. Now let's get that squared away. There we go. I'm going to place it on the middle of our zip tie. Excuse me. And then we're going to push it all the way down. So it's pressing against the zip tie. Yeah, definitely there. And then we just tighten the pinda back up. And I think that's just about everything for the pre-flight check. All right, thanks.
Please be sure to empty the cat boxes.
There we go. Thanks, Alexa. Let's get that tightened down.
John, laundry and yard work.
So yes, I use my Alexa to help the kids. I don't know if you guys could hear that or not. The announcement going over the rest of the house saying, hey, do your chores. It's Saturday, the kids are home, so we might get up to some mischief later on, but for now, I'm having to tighten this an awful lot, and with this little Allen wrench, it's tough. Because the gantry is in the way. We'll get there. That feels pretty good. All right, that's pretty tight. So then we're going to make another visual inspection, and while the nozzle is touching the bed, there is a gap, pretty good gap, well, a zip tie width gap under the pinda. Okay, we are good to go. Yep, looks just like that. And we're done. And so that is the pre-flight check complete. Very simple, very straightforward, and kind of shows us that we need to move on to the 3D printing handbook. So I have that pulled up, and the 3D printing handbook is going to take us through this. So we're going to find the kit section, and we're going to go through, and these are all the pre-flight and the self-checking and calibration tests that we need to run before we run our first print. So we're going to jump over here. This is the 3D printing handbook. It's pretty cool. And in fact, I think, yeah, you know what? A copy of this 3D printing handbook came with the printer. So we can just flip through here. And if I was doing this just myself, I probably would use the printed book. But since we're going to do since we're doing a live stream, I think it's a little bit better to have it up on the screen so that you can follow along with me. All right, so guide to the first print. There's lots of stuff here about safety, and there's Joe and his 3D print farm, which is pretty cool. And we're going to cruise right on through here. And really, we want to jump down to this kit section. There's the kit. That looks very familiar, except the Haribo, which somebody consumed out of turn. But in any case, we don't need to do any of the assemble. That's the assembled steps, fewer steps, but we did the kit. So it will guide you through all the tests when you first start up your freshly assembled printer. The wizard can be started manually from the LCD menu. All right, so that's the first thing. So I guess we need to plug this bad boy in using the power cord that came with. There's that. And there's our power cord. Well, in theory, there's our power cord. I cannot open the power cord. There we go. And we get this plugged in. So, I gotta crawl under the desk real quick because my power is down behind the desk. So we'll drop this behind. Let me go ahead and get it plugged in here so it doesn't accidentally get pulled and fall. So we'll plug that side in, off, yep. It's pretty tight, which is good, that's what you want. And then let me just be right back. Okay, and I'm back. We got power. With the first startup, and I still have, let's see. Let me adjust this a little so maybe you can see the screen. Better. All right. So I still have the little plastic part. The screen cover is still on there, so I'm going to go ahead and take that off, and hopefully it'll show up a little better on the camera. Now I did have some questions when I was assembling. It said put the screen cover back on, and I never saw it tell me to take the screen cover off. So I hope that it will, came off in one piece. We are good to go with our first boot up. So I'm very excited. Here we go. Let's turn it on. Hey, it worked. First time. All right, original Prusa i3 from Prusa Research. Okay, we're going to set this up. I speak the English. I am your original Prusa i3 printer. Would you like for me to guide you through the setup process? Yes, I think I would. I'll run the self-test to check most common assembly problems. Please check the IR sensor connection. IR sensor connection. Unload filament if present. I guess, is this the IR sensor connection? I guess that's it. No filament is loaded, so insert the filament. Do not load it into the extruder and press the knob. Okay. I guess we ought to find our filament. Let's see, the printer came with a spool of filament. And clearly I have moved it somewhere else. It's not that I don't have filament, it's just that I would like to use the filament that came with the printer. Wait a minute. Bingo, okay. Got our basic filament here. The basic filament from Prusa. And we're gonna open that up and load up some filament. It's so pristine and clean right now. It's almost a shame to foul it up with some nasty filament, which of course is the whole point. It's like buying a refrigerator and never putting food in it. You know, it stays clean, but it's not very useful that way. All right. Gonna get this opened up. It is gray, my least favorite filament color. I mean, I don't hate gray, but it's just, it could be red or this beautiful orange or any number of other colors, but it's okay. Somehow I will make do with the gray, so we're gonna snip that off. And is that the best way to do that? Yeah, looks good. There's a convenient arrow. I don't know if you can see there's a little arrow right there. So, hey, put filament here. So that's great. Push the knob. Sensor verified. Remove the filament. Okay. All right. Self-test start. Fan test. Hey, the fan's running. You can't see. I'm not going to move it while it's testing, but the fan did come on. Print fan, I can hear the print fan. I can hear it. I don't know. Left hot end fan. I hear something spinning. Well, so what's spinning right now is the part fan. Because I think the hot end fan is here. Huh. So I need to left hot end span. We're gonna have to say not spinning. Front fan is spinning. So we'll say spinning. Oh, I guess that was supposed to do. I thought I was gonna have to rewire this thing. Checking the x-axis. Cool. No end stops on this printer, so it's just sensing it using the stepper motor. Great. Terrific. All that seems to be working okay. Belle's getting curious. No, I don't want you to go over there. Hey, hey, probably stay back. Probably you should stay over here. Why don't you sit right here? Okay, everything checks out. It's checking the bed now. I guess it's gonna warm up the, yep, bed's starting to get warm. You can see that right here. It's doing the bed check. Adjust that a hair. There you go. And it's doing the bed check. So far, so good. And I have not installed this steel sheet yet, so I guess I'm gonna need to install that pretty soon. So while it's doing the bed check, I'll unpack my steel sheet. There we go. And it's double-sided. Okay. So there's the print sheet, which is going to install there, but not yet. Let's see. What else can we do while we wait? So what did it do? It did the calibrated. Okay, so it did a self-test. It calibrated the X and Y and Z. Wait, did it do Z? No, I don't. Okay, it says all correct. All right, or run X, Y, Z calibration. Oh, it didn't do X, Y, Z calibration. I guess that was all self-test. Takes 12 minutes. Well, that's a long time for a live stream to sit here for 12 minutes. But I suppose there's no other thing to do. So I'm just going to say auto home. I'm just going to say go. And off it goes. Sorry, allergies are really bad today. Oh, supposed to do that? Clean the nozzle for calibration. Okay, I mean, like it hasn't had any filament running through it, so I'm gonna assume that that's clean. Is the steel sheet on the heat bed? No. Place a sheet of paper under the nozzle during the calibration of first 4 points. If the nozzle catches the paper, power off the printer immediately. Okay. A piece of paper. I know in the instructions it says to use the checklist that came with it, but I have probably buried that somewhere. Yeah. I don't see the checklist that came with it, so I'm just going to get a regular piece of paper. Alright. So if it catches the paper, I'm supposed to power it off immediately. I'm going to read that again. Place a sheet of paper under the nozzle during the calibration of first 4 points. If the nozzle catches the paper, power off the printer immediately. And then what? Okay. And it is approaching at a rapid pace. I'm going to hover my hand over the power button because I don't know what might happen if I did not even come close to the paper. It's about 5 milliliters away from the paper, so I think we're okay. Searching bed calibration point. Okay. It's just moving around. Oh, now it's touching the paper, so I guess it went down a little bit. Huh. It's interesting. I don't know what it's doing, but it's kind of bouncing up and down. It's not catching the paper, so we'll let it keep going. it goes. All right, so let's while it's doing that, I'm gonna expand this little screen a little bit, and let's kind of go through what else might happen here. Self-track, X, Y, and Z, loading filament, and then the first layer. Bedded high Curie temperature magnets. These magnets, make sure the bed is clean and there's any debris before you install the sheet. You know, I might have should have updated the firmware first. Oh, is this how the Pinda works? So this must be how the Pinda works. Okay, that makes sense. So it's the Pinda. So I've only ever used a BL Touch. So the Pinda kind of goes through and I guess it detects without actually touching, and that's what it must be doing. Is it's moving down and then it's going back and forth. Doesn't work, so on to the next point. Let's see, 13. Updating printer firmware. So if you're watching this before you've done your build, I would say this is probably, if I was to do this again, this is what I would do. Is I would come here and I would do the firmware update, because I'm just gonna have to run calibration again after I update the firmware, which I am gonna do, because there's no reason not to use the most recent up-to-date firmware. USB 2 Type B cable and the correct firmware file. Download the latest files from there. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Let's see, right click. Is that not a link? Okay, there we go. 3.10.1. I don't know what version of firmware I'm running, so I'm not sure if an update is necessary. 3.10.1. 16th of December, so that came out 2 days ago. Yeah, I'm gonna need to run it. So that just, wow, that just came out. Okay, so today is the 18th, December 18th is when I'm actually recording this. So yeah, so we had a firmware release very recently, so let's go ahead and download that so that we have it when we're ready. And then we're going to need a USB cable. Mac OS and Linux users should download only Prusa Slicer. Okay, so I've got Prusa Slicer. Connect it to the PC with the USB cable, which is certainly, all right. We're on to number 4. Kind of see what it's doing. It's just doing that same pattern, that kind of search pattern. still want this thing to focus better. I actually have procured a newer 1080 webcam that I'm hoping works better, but I haven't had a chance to play with it yet. So anyway, let's see. To flash the firmware, go to configuration, flash printer firmware, and a new window will pop up. Check whether the printer has been recognized, and browse to the button, select the firmware file, flash. It's pretty straightforward. I do have Prusa Slicer already installed, and I'll switch screens here in a minute when it's time to do that. It moved the paper? Is that not? Yeah, that's okay. I'm shutting it down. Okay, that's what it meant. It snagged that. Yeah, and this paper is pretty tight under there. But interestingly, I don't know what to do now. So it did snag the paper. And what it said to do was, if it snags the paper, to immediately turn it off. So I'm going to go back up here and see if there's any instructions here. I don't see where it says what to do. Let's see. So we're going to say, let's go do a Google test, a Google search here. And we're going to say, calibrate XYZ on a Prusa i3 paper caught. Okay, it says immediately press the reset button. Your pinna sensor is probably set too high. Lower it down by 2 to 3 threads and run the XYZ calibration again. Okay. Pinna is set too high. Well, as much of a pain as it is, I know how to fix that. It's actually pretty easy, and we've got our tool right here. But I'm going to move the bed over a hair. Lower it down by 2 or 3 threads, okay? Loosen it up. All right, let me grab my better screwdriver. It's about 37 times easier. and we want to raise it up a few threads. It's still pretty tight, but that's really loose. So, there we go. It's very hard to do that, 2 or 3 threads. I think that's about right. I think that was about 2 or 3 threads. There we go. Okay. Now, what I am going to do, since we did have to stop it anyway, is I'm going to flash the firmware. Okay, which means we probably need another screen over here that's going to share Prusa Slicer. Give me 1 second. I will get that squared away. Prusa Slicer. There we go. Okay. Hopefully you can see that on the stream. And we will just resize that slightly so that you can still see the other stuff that's going on. All right, so USB cable is required for this part of the show. So and I'm going to plug it into my Mac, which is a newer Mac that doesn't have the old USB. So I've got a little adapter here. I just need a USB cable, which I think I've got here in the office. That's a power cord. Okay, well, I don't have a USB cable, so I'm going to run, or I could use the one that came with the printer. There you go. All right, very good. I thought I was going to have to provide my own USB cable, but no, they got me squared away. And in it goes. Nice and long. Plug that into our adapter, which hopefully does not cause any incompatibilities, but we're going to find out. And one side goes into the old Mac. The other side into the motherboard. That'll work. Okay, you can't see it, but I have a cable strung. No, don't touch that. Don't touch that. No. I have a cable strung right across the bell here, and into my Mac. And I would move the laptop, but I can't because it's what I'm streaming through. So, hey, stop it. And of course, she loves to play with cables. It's like her second favorite thing, but in any case, let's get this thing squared away and get rid of the cable as soon as possible. We already downloaded the file. I'm going to turn the printer back on, and then let's jump over here, configuration, flash printer firmware, image file, downloads. I guess it's the hex. Serial port, it looks like it's detected. Huh, you had Bluetooth, really? I wonder if that would work. I actually want to try the Bluetooth, so let's give that a shot. Flashing failed. Okay, Bluetooth didn't work. I wonder if I have to Bluetooth it into the Mac. Let's go to the Bluetooth settings, which I'm aware you can't see right now. I'm just in Mac settings, and it's not really much to see. It's just a little Bluetooth config screen. And it's kind of searching. And there's nothing there. I'm wondering if I have to get it all set up in the printer before Bluetooth will work. All right, well, we'll just switch back over to the serial port, and that all looks good. Let's try it again. Flashing in progress. Okay, we got an update on our printer as well. Well, where is it? So you can see upgrading firmware. Do not disconnect. It's a pretty dire warning. And it gives us a little countdown here, which is very difficult for you to see, but it's basically already at 50%. And flashing in progress. There is a little pop-up that I now see that you can't see. Well, I can add that probably really quick. It's going to be done before I get there. Firmware flasher. All right, so there's the firmware flasher. This had popped up, of course, on the broadcast. It's not going to share any window that I don't tell it to. So, but this popped up. That's what it looks like. And you can still see what's going on the printer itself. It's up to, verification is up to 80%, 90%, 100% verified. And it goes to the original Prusa i3 splash screen. Still in progress. Must be rebooting. And flashing succeeded. Woo! All right, we can close that out. I can get rid of that over here. Great. And we're actually done with the Prusa slicer screen, so we can close that out. There we go. All right, so now that it's flashed, I can unplug this cable, remove it from poor Bell over here. My little handy dandy USB adapter worked as intended. So we're going to start the setup process once again. 12 minutes, go for it. Auto home. All right. Please clean the nozzle. We're good to go. Steel installed. No, it's not. Place a sheet of paper under the nozzle. Got it. Calibration failed. So it went all the way down has really snagged the sheet of paper there, and I think my pinda must be set too high now. Just did a quick reset. And it's asking me again if I want to go through the setup process, which that paper's really tightly in there. Okay, we're gonna go for that pinda calibration again. I'm gonna use the zip tie this time. Out it comes. Loosen the hair. Put our zip tie under there. I mean, that's about as tight as I can get it. It's not tightly squeezing the zip tie. It is touching it when the zip tie slides underneath. It's pretty sensitive though. It wants to be just right, which I totally get. We'll tighten that bad boy down, give it one more shot. Yes, please. It'll take 12 minutes, auto home. Okay. It is homing. You can see. Yep, that's supposed to happen. Clean the nozzle, yeah. Steel sheet installed, no. Place a sheet of paper, yeah. Better. Okay, off it goes. I'm not glad that it failed, but I'm glad that it stopped so that I could do the, so I could flash the firmware. So now I know I'm running on the best possible software on my 3D printer, which is great. And we're just gonna wait for it to do what it's supposed to do. I can't leave it unattended, it said. So I just gotta sit here and watch it. Make sure nothing goes wrong. Grabbed it again. Okay, grab the paper. So lower it by 2 to 3 threads and run it again. If it grabs the paper, then it's set too high. Lower by 2 or 3 threads. All right. I'm going to use I'm going to measure this. So I have these awesome little things from Overture that come with their filament, and I'm just going to measure exactly. Let's see. I'm going to do it from here, up here at the top, and so that I can see exactly how much of the pinda is still above the grip. It looks like almost exactly 1 centimeter, maybe just a hair under 1 centimeter. So I'm gonna lower it. It says 2 to 3 threads. In these threads, it looks like there's about, well, it looks like each thread is about 1 millimeter. So 2 threads, I'm going to lower it till it's at 0.8. Get a little bit more precise here because it didn't work. All right, we'll get that out of the way. Loosen it up. Make sure it's loosened on the pinda, which I just reach in here and kind of pull on it a little bit, and you can feel it give just a little. Even though the screw is out, it's still pretty tight. So I want to lower this 2 to 3 threads, and now that I have a measurement, I can be a little bit more precise. So let's see where we are. Yeah, that was about 1 millimeter. And so let's lower it just a little bit more. It's not really moving. Is that actually stuck down now? Oh, that's as low as it goes. I don't want it that low, so I can, that's as low as it goes. Absolutely as low as it goes. And that's like 7 millimeters. Millimeters. Nope, 8 millimeters. Alright, so we're going to back off of as low as it'll possibly go and try and hit 9 millimeters. That's 9 millimeters. Let's tighten it back up and run it again. I can't believe how sensitive this pinda is. All right. Let's run it again. Setup process, yes please. It'll take that amount of time. Auto home. All right, we're good to go. Before it continues, I'm going to turn it back so everybody can see what's going on. There we go. Alright, clean the nozzle, done. Is the still sheet on the heat bed? No. Place a sheet of paper, done. Alright. Starting again. So far so good. All right, looks good so far. So far, so good. That's a little better. You can get a sense of what it's doing here. Not really a lot in the, by the way of explanation, but I think this must be the Pinda part because I can see the Pinda light flashing. You can kind of see it flashing there, but which I guess means it's reading. I'm not 100% sure. What do you think, Belle? Relatively quiet. I mean, I wouldn't want to have this next to my or on my desk as it was printing 24/7 or anything, but I don't know. It's not like it's interrupting the conversation. Let's see. On my watch, which has a built-in decibel detector, it's reading at about 46, 47. When I get back to where I actually am, it's at 43, 42, 43, and I'm talking at like 65. So quieter than someone talking, probably slightly above a whisper. It's pretty quiet. All right, point 1 finished. Let's take a look at point 2. It's moving the paper. Yeah, it keeps moving the, I mean, it's not like dragging the bed or anything, but it does keep moving the paper. Just the lightest touch kind of holds it in place, but it is moving the paper around. All right, well, shoot. So I've already set it down. I'm not sure I want to set it any lower. Otherwise, I think it's going to drag the bed. The Pinda sensor, I think, is going to drag the bed. I'm going to scooch this back nice and slow. And let's see, let me just lower the bed. Oh no, it's locked. Okay, the extruder, the stepper motors are locked, so I can't really move it that way. All right, just want to see if I can. So there it is, homed. All right, let's get the Z touching. That's at 0 and it's not quite touching. And the Pinda is supposed to be 1 millimeter higher than the hot end. And from this angle, it's maybe, I don't know, that looks, I need more light. It looks like 1 millimeter, but let me shine a flashlight on it. Let's see. I mean, it looks like 1 millimeter to me. Well, they say to lower it down more. I mean, that's like touching. All right, so I'm gonna make it like not quite touching. I don't know. I feel that that's too close, but so this is as low down as it can go, really, without actually touching the bed, which you really don't want to touch the bed when you're printing something. So that's about as low as it'll go. Let me turn this back around. And, you know, I'll try it again. And this time I gotta tell it, okay. Calibration, wizard. So it's running the fan tests and whatnot again. Let's see if we can get a little bit better light here. That gives a little bit better light. It's a little bit glary actually. Oh, well, okay. A cable wrap problem. There we go. Checking. All right. Heat in the bed. So far, so good. I don't think that's any better. Oh, now we've got a shadow. So that gets rid of the shadow. How about that? That's a compromise. Oh, checking bed. Still checking the bed. You know, I never did figure out where this little guy was supposed to go. All right, while we wait for that, I'm gonna back it on up and see where this guy came from. I mean, I want to say it came from there. No. The rods. I will run XY calibration now. Takes 12 minutes. All right. Do what you got to do, buddy. Linear bearings. No, we didn't need that. Okay, so this step does call for them, and they go on the base here and here, which are on there. They are attached. Please clean the nozzle. Is steel sheet on the bed? No. Place a sheet of paper. Done. Yes. Okay. And here we go again. So what I wonder is if one, like the back part of the bed is higher than the front part of the bed? Is that what's messing this up? So the x-axis Is that the same part? Yeah, that's the same part. Trapezoidal nuts on the x-axis. Hold on, where is this talking about? Like, okay, so that's talking about here and here. Seems like they're all where they're supposed to be. Oh. Oh, hold on a second. Yeah, okay, that's the same thing. I don't know. That's a little weird. So, all right, doesn't look like it moved. Okay. So I'm just flipping back through real quick to make sure I didn't leave off a part that I ended up with extra. So I've got this extra little part here, and yet I can't see where. I mean, it looks like I installed all the parts properly, and so why did I end up with this extra part? It's just an extra part, which is cool, but I mean, this is kind of a not gonna be part. I mean, this just doesn't look like the part of the excuse me, part of the assembly that would have had that. I would have used this little part. You know what I could do is go back to the bags. I don't think I tossed any of the bags. I didn't really keep them organized though. But the bags do have lots of stuff written on them about what they contain. So I could have very easily tossed the bags. Yeah, my trash can sits right next to my desk, so I could have easily just tossed that in there. How we doing? Paper's not moving. Of course, we've been this far before. One thing that we could be thinking about is what do we want to print? Of course, there's always the benchy. Let's go back up to the menu. All right, we got a little ways to go here. Second one seems okay. This is where we failed on the previous attempts. Hey, good. Hey, we're making progress. So far so good. I think we're gonna make it. All right. Searching bed calibration point. Please place steel sheet on the heat bed. Hey, cool. All right, so it's supposed to go right on those screws. That's really great, pretty easy compared to my other printers. Okay. Measuring the reference height of calibration point 1 of 9. pretty cool. It's pretty quick. It's doing the old bed leveling. Rather, it's not really bed leveling, as we know in the industry. We call it bed leveling, but it's actually what it's doing is measuring. Hey, what it's doing is measuring how far off it is, and that's what's and then it'll automatically compensate for that. So it's not bed leveling, but we call it automatic bed leveling. But in any case, all right. So my message here says XYZ calibration okay. XY axes are perpendicular. Congratulations. I guess that's awesome. Thank you. Is filament loaded? No. Select nozzle preheat temperature, which matches your material. PLA. Preheating the nozzle. I wonder if it would be slightly better if that top camera was off to one angle and then pointed sideways in so that we're not catching the spool here. At least it would help with this particular video shoot. Without rewiring, about right there is about as far over as I can go. Oh, that helps. And then if we just angle in, that's pretty good. All right, cool. I'm happy with that. All right, what does it say? Please insert filament into the extruder, then press the knob to load it. All right, we're going to go with our Prusa PLA silver. In she goes. And press the knob. Cool. Pretty easy. Loading filament. Extruding and with correct color. Nothing's coming out, so I'm going to say no on this one. There it is. Took it a second. Yes. Now I will calibrate distance between the tip of the nozzle and the heat bed surface. So what was it doing before this? The printer will start printing a zigzag line. Rotate the knob until you reach the optimal height. Check the pictures in the handbook. All right, we're going to pause right here. We're going to jump back to our handbook, and we're going to take a look at those pictures. And so calibration and bed leveling was all good. So this is, I'm assuming, what it's about to print. And this is what we need to look for. Like we want it to look just like barely. You can see the layer lines. You can see them, but barely. And then over here, if they're really spaced out or if there's gaps, then you know it's too low. So let's see what happens. All right, do it. Do your thing. All right. Bed heating. Well, the bed is already at 61. Oh, so it must be waiting for bed cooling. Must be filament coming out. All right. That must be a setup line. Well, it's moving, so I would say it's too high. Yeah. Yeah, it is way too high. Well, okay. That looks all right. Started out way too high. Now we're at negative 1.590. And you can see here it started out too high, and then we got into better. Do you want to repeat the last step to readjust distance between nozzle and heat bed? Okay. I guess I accidentally told it no, but really I wanted yes. And you can see these just were not adhering at all, so they just didn't even stick. Okay. We are all done. Happy printing. Okay, we're printing. So it says that the Prusa logo on the provided SD card is a great place to, is a great test first print. So why not? I'm going to go ahead and print the Prusa logo. Sorting files. Prusa test pattern, Batman. Beer opener, tree frog, gear. All right. Oh, Nefertiti. Yeah, they use that one a lot. as a test. Let's hit that test pattern again. I think that's probably the one that we just did. All right, we'll hit that test pattern again. Okay, I'm absolutely thrilled. I've got it all put together. The i3 MK3S Plus was it was fun to assemble. It's a kit. It took some work and a lot of time and patience. I looked back over the live stream. I think including all the stuff with the calibration and everything. And I know there was, it was not exactly as efficient in some of those as I could have been, but still came in at about, I think it was 11 hours to put the whole thing together. So, and then I've still got some calibration to go and first print and some things like that. But I think 11 or 12 hours is probably a pretty reasonable amount of time to plan. They say some people can build it in an hour and a half. I imagine if you have built 20 of these, yeah, you could probably get it done in that time. But I don't think I'm going to get to the point. I don't think I'll build another Prusa. I'm actually working on acquiring the parts for a rat rig. And so my next build is going to be a rat rig printer. But the Prusa was a great learning experience. A little bit of a learning curve, even though I've worked with printers a lot. There's definitely some parts that I had to slow down and read about and learn more about. But all in all, a great experience, and I appreciate you taking this journey with me, and hopefully it helped. And this is the Volacci 3D channel, and I'm Ben Finkley, and for me and for Belle, we are signing out. I think that test pattern looks a lot better. Yeah, that looks pretty good.